Hello, everyone, and welcome to Consciousness is Sexy. I'm your host, Patty Alfonso, and today's topic is, are you an undercover freak? And is now the time to let your freak flag fly. If you watched the show last week, I did talk a little bit about how I was in the X-Men class recently with Gary Douglas and Diva Diaz, and how Gary was kind of, he was talking, and then all of a sudden I kind of catch him and he says, well, take Patty, for example. She looks normal, but then she opens her mouth and you're just kind of like, huh? And so that amazing wedgie has been in sort of my universe ever since that, and I've been looking at that and playing with that. And I do actually want to apologize. Last week I had totally lost my voice, so I simply could not do the show, and I know that some of you were watching and waiting, and I apologize for that. So I just wanted to put that out there. But what happened was that I went to the Matthew Hussey retreat, and I allowed myself to be as freaky as I know I can truly be throughout the retreat. So I had so much fun, and I ran around and I danced and I yelled at the top of my lungs, and I had an amazing time, and I lost my voice in the process. How does it get better? So it was very sexy, raspy kind of voice, but I just couldn't do the show. So anyway, I was at the retreat, and I had actually made the demand of myself to show up truly, 100% me, no matter what that looked like, no matter what came out of my mouth, no matter what I said, no matter what I did. Like, I was really just going to allow myself to be whatever energy was showing up for me. And can I just tell you that I had so many mini major miracles, so many more shifts within me, within my body, in my relationships with people, with women, with men. So much magic got created because I really allowed myself to be everything that I wanted to be. And so this topic of just being like kind of an undercover freak has been bubbling in my universe. And undercover freak, sometimes that kind of makes me think of like a freak under the covers. So if you thought that's what this show is about, how does it get better? Natalie's laughing. She's like, darn. And what contribution can this conversation be to that as well? Because if you're not allowing yourself to be any and every energy that's available, if you're cutting off pieces of you, then what is that creating for you in the bedroom? What is that creating for you under the sheets? And that's just a question to ponder as we continue on with our show today. So a couple of things. Where do I want to go from here? Where do you guys want to go from here? What would you like to receive? Catherine says, yes, I have been undercover. Absolutely. And how often and how much do we stop ourselves? We stop ourselves from being. We stop ourselves from asking for things. We stop ourselves from receiving because we're so worried about what other people are going to think about us. We're so worried about the projections and the expectations and like, oh, they're going to think this of me, and they're going to, I can't do this because then that'll happen, and I shouldn't say this because then that'll happen. All of that is pushing the energy of you down. All of that is cutting pieces of you off. And yes, we have to be in the question, like, what will this create? What will this create for me? What will this create for the other person? But if you're asking those questions and you're still not choosing for you, and you're still not choosing what it is that you desire to be and what it is that you desire to create, then how much are you cutting off pieces of you? Like, for me personally, my family were really into the image of perfection. They were really into looking like the perfect family. The husband, the wife, the two beautiful young girls. But we had to behave a certain way in order to maintain that image of perfection. And I had this awareness during the retreat that I hadn't had before. And I remember when I was like 3 or 4, perceiving that and being like, hell no, that is so boring. And I remember, like, I was always labeled as the black sheep. I was always labeled as the rebellious one. I was always labeled as like the freak of the family and like the problem in the family. And for a long time, I kind of bought that. I thought I must be the problem. There must be something wrong with me. And it's been such a journey to let go of that. And it's been layers, you guys. It's been layers of, you know, making that shift, you know, in that moment where you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that because, you know, what if they think this and this of me? And then choosing to be it and to do it anyway, because you know that it'll create more for you. At the retreat, I was having just one of those really vulnerable, open moments. And I did get to another layer of something that I had been looking at for a long time. And I'm not going to go into too many details of it here. If you'd like to join the Creating Magic with Chaos Club, you can get all the details there because I talked about it with all my peeps in the club. But anyway, so I got to this layer of something that I had been working on for a long time. And I also got the awareness of what I could be and do to shift that energy within me and in my body. And I had brought with me my first book that I wrote last year. And the book was like, take me with you, I want to go with you. And I'm like, what? Why do you want to come to the retreat? Like, I'm not going to go handing out my book to people. Like, I'm going here to like be here for me and create for, you know, for me in the sense of my own personal growth. My own personal growth. But the book was really loud and really clear that it wanted to come with me. And I was like, all right. So I kind of threw it in my bag at the last minute. And so I get to this piece of awareness of something that had been kind of floating around in my universe. And I also get the sense that if I gave my book to this woman that was at the retreat, that it would actually really shift and create something. And this amazing, amazing woman, her name is Siobhan, and I just am going to cry even. She just is one of the kindest, caring women that I have ever met. And I've been asking for these kinds of women to show up in my life. I've been demanding it, like kinder, like truly, truly kind women, not the kind of women that are kind of kind, but really they're stabbing you in the back, or kind of kind, but they're really bad mouthing you, or kind of kind, but they actually don't really like you. They're just pretending to be kind. Like, I'm kind of done with those kind of people. And so anyway, Siobhan, you know, I met her last year, and I have this habit, this pattern of not really letting people in and watching them for a long time, just to see, like, who is this, you know, what is behind this curtain that is there. And so I was creating this kind of wall between myself and people. And the thing about Siobhan is that, you know, I'd met her a few times and had been watching her and allowing myself to be close to her, but still kind of a little bit. And so I get the awareness that if I give her the book, that it would create something. And I was like, oh, but that's so weird. Why would I give her my book? Like, that's so arrogant. Would I give her my book? Like, that's so, I had all this fucking head tripping that was going on in my head about it, and all of these kind of judgments and whatever. And then I also had this sense that to change what I had become aware of, that I had to, beyond my head tripping, beyond my self-judgments, beyond the fear of how she would react, beyond the fear of whether or not she was going to receive it or not, or whatever. There was something, like, the energy was there. It was light and expansive. And I had to go beyond all of my limiting thoughts and points of views to choose it. And so I gave her the book, and it absolutely created something beyond words that I can really describe right now. And I really allowed myself to just be that freak, right? Like, she could have been like, oh, what a freak-a-zoid, she's giving me her book, that's so weird, you know, but it didn't, like, the pull to choose it with the awareness that it was going to create something was much greater than my head tripping about what she would think about me. And it turned out when I gave her the book that she was like, you know, this is exactly what I've been asking for. This, like, I have been asking for change with my body, and I have been asking to, like, care about my body more and love my body more. And so in this moment of her receiving, you know, my gift, and like, there was this gifting and receiving with a woman that had a really different energy to it than I had ever really experienced before. And I can perceive the changes that that is creating in my life, and the changes that it'll create for her in her life on whatever it is that she is working on at the moment. And so, what are you holding back that if you didn't hold it back would actually create the change you've been asking for? Not just for you, but also for the people around you. When I was at the retreat and I was dancing around like a crazy woman, if you know me, then you know, I was doing it because it brings me joy, you know, it makes my body happy. And I know that it also opens up the space for other people to choose that kind of quote unquote freedom with their body, and freedom with movement, and freedom with who cares what everybody thinks. And I could perceive, you know, some of the judgments, and I was being so much space and so much the joy of living that I truly be, that none of that stuff really mattered. And as the days went on, right, because we get to, you know, even when you go to an access class, you kind of get there and there's like, everyone's limitations are bubbling up. Everything that everyone has come here to work on is like at the surface. It's probably been at the surface for a week before everything has started. So people are kind of like, okay, yeah, you know, yay, you know, and I'm like, woo, yeah! And I'm so autistic, you know, like Matthew will ask something from the stage and I'll just blurt out the answer and everyone looks at me and I'm like, you know, like at one point he was like, oh, we're going to have a bathroom break. And I was like, yes. And it came out so loud. Everybody looked at me and I was like, sorry, you know, what do you want me to say? I mean, I have to pee. But it's also like the awareness of everyone's bodies, that everyone needs a little break and has to pee, and like allowing myself to just express the energy that's in the room. Which is something that I really, really had to learn how to clamp down on when I was growing up and when I was little, because those kinds of outbursts were not acceptable. They were not okay. You know, I made my family really uncomfortable, and it's been a long time, me working on not making those judgments and those points of views real or vital or valuable, really choosing to be all of me and all of the energies of me. And I remember the first time I went to see Dane in person. And when was it? Like a long ass time ago, about 10 million years ago. And he was doing probably one of his taster classes. And I remember sitting on the front row watching him be every energy that showed up. Like Dane, and it was so inspiring. And if anyone has been to any classes or seen any, like, he is everything. He'll be the 5-year-old kid or the 3-year-old, or he'll throw a temper tantrum, or he'll be the intensity that's required. He'll be funny. He'll be angry. He'll be whatever is required in every moment. And I remember being so inspired by that. so just like, oh my gosh, that's what I used to be like at some point in my life. And I remember in that moment making that demand that I would do whatever it took to be that space of me again. So what demand do you need to be for you so that you can be everything that you have come here to be, everything that you know you already are, everything that you've shut down, everything that you've locked up in your body? What demand, what space of you do you need to be in order to set yourself free? And anything that doesn't allow that, let's destroy it and create it. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all nine shorts, boys, beyonds. That's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. If you want more information, go to theclearingstatement.com. And so, you know, it's those beings that come here and have the sense and the awareness that something else is possible, and that something else can be created. And sometimes it really just takes one person. All of the social changes that we've had in this world have been because one person had the awareness that something else was possible and available. And so what is it that you're refusing to be, that if you actually just allowed yourself to be it, would create more for you, more for everyone around you, and more for the world? And anything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive that, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. Let's check. Nothing happened in the chat. Does anyone have any questions? Natalie, go ahead and unmute yourself, darling. Oh, I had muted.
Oh, hello?
Honey?
Hi. Can you hear me okay? I'm in my car.
I can hear you all right.
Okay.
I can't see you though. I want to see your beautiful face. There you are. I want to see your face. There you go. Hi.
Hi. So my question would be about, so I've been doing tons of energy pulls, and actually some of the stuff we're working on in the chaos group that I talked about, like vulnerability and that, and oh my goodness. Okay, so what I'm asking for is actually showing up, and now I'm like, oh my god, because it's so exciting, and it's so just like, that's the possibility. Like one of the like I perceive it's a possibility, and now that it's like coming to fruition, I'm still I don't want to say having troubles, but it's like the actually receiving of it. It's like a little bit of a struggle, because I have to like barriers down, and just like, thank you, like so grateful. And then I will reply to one message, and then I'm like, because now I'm actually going to be doing some classes, and I'm so fucking excited about it that I'm finally like, this is the energy. It's like there was some shifting that had to go through, and now it's like, I'm so excited, but it's still, there's that like the receiving of it. And the people that want to actually join the party with me, I'm just like so grateful for them. And
so what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to receive with total ease? Anything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right?
Yeah.
Shorts, boys, beyonds. And I love what you said about just lower your barriers, expand your energy out. You're an infinite being with the ability to perceive, know, be, and receive everything. If you're expanded way, way, way out, all the way to Pluto and beyond, in that space of being an infinite being, would an infinite being refuse anything or resist anything? You know, and I would just keep running that. What energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to receive everything with total ease? And anything that doesn't allow that, we destroy and create it.
Yeah.
Good, bad, POD, all nine shorts, boys, and it's really interesting. And so when you notice that energy come up, Natalie, like stay present with it. Expand out, and then you can look at like, what molecule can I turn here? what can I shift here to disappear this energy for all eternity? And literally just stay present with the energy. Don't like try to ignore it or push it to the side. Like whatever that energy is, it's coming up to change it so that you can let it go. Thank you for this question. I was actually reading through the foundation manual this morning, and I was reading about, like I say a lot, like, hey, I'll have that now, like I'll have that, that's cool what that's creating, what they're creating, I'll have that now, yeah, she's creating, I'll have that now, sure. And then when I read that I had never read before, which is one of the things that I love about consciousness and continuing your journey, is that there's always something more, and you always can pick up something in a different way, or whatever. But anyway, so I was reading that when we have that demand for something greater, for something new to show up, what can sometimes occur is that anything that isn't allow you to receive it is going to come up and be really loud in your universe, so that you can change it, so that you can receive it. Like that energy, what if there wasn't anything wrong with that? What if that was like, oh, that's interesting, okay, expand out. Like I actually, I mean, you're creating a class and people are like totally supporting you and helping promote it. And like, how does it get better than that, right? It could be worse. Like I asked the universe, hey, show me what receiving is. And I created this insane situation with a totally like abusive person. And I was like, you know what, really? No more of that. And it actually, I mean, like I just said, it never shows up the way that you think it will. And everything comes up so that you can shift it and change it. So I'm not complaining about that situation. So that situation, actually, I learned a fucking fuck ton from that. And it was an energy, like an abusive energy that I had been familiar with, that was in my universe, that I continued to recreate over and over again. And my demand for that energy to change created that situation where the abuse was up in my face and I could say no more. And then a few other situations got created after that with that similar kind of energy, not as intense, but I could perceive it and be aware of it and say no more. And then another one. And then I was like, no more of this energy. Like I'm done with this. And then I created the beautiful, amazing gifting and receiving with Siobhan at the retreat, which was like so healing for me in my body. Like her and I were hugging, and it was almost like an abuse hold hug. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's actually a body process that Gary Douglas facilitates for releasing abuse from your body. And she was holding me with this caring, kind energy, and my body just went. And I had also been asking for that. So it doesn't always show up the way that we think it will. And what would it be like to trust you, to trust consciousness, to trust that everything that is being created is going to, at some point, if you receive it and allow it and be present with it and use the tools, will create more than you could have imagined possible. So how does it get better than that? Thank you for that question, Natalie, because that was something that I wanted to chat about that I forgot until you brought it up. So thank you. And how does it get better? I'm so fucking excited and proud of you for what you're creating, especially because of the stuff that we talked about in the Magic Club. So how does it get better? I'm excited for you too. Okay, Sylvia, she asks, can you expand more about demand energy? Because sometimes I'm not sure if I have a demand energy or a needy energy. So Sylvia, so you're just ask, is this a demand in my universe? So a demand, like when I perceive that energy, and I perceive it in the sense of what I'm demanding for myself, like this is what I'm demanding for me to change, for me to grow, for me to expand into. Like there's a potency with the energy of demand. And with needy, just perceive the energy of just being needy. There's like a contraction of that. And for me, needy is like has to do with someone else. Like I need something from someone else. And it's heavy and a contraction, and like it kind of makes me want to throw up a little bit. And when people are being needy with me, it's actually a repellent. Like I'm like, ugh, ugh, you know? So you may want to get really aggressively present with you around these different kinds of energies and ask questions. So is this a demand for me to create more, or am I being needy? And what is this creating for me and for the people around me? What is this creating? What is this energy creating? And what if you didn't have to define it? Is it creating your future, or is it decaying your future? You know, probably if it's creating your future, it's more of a demand kind of energy. If it's a decay of your future, maybe it's more of like a needy sort of, you need something from someone else. So honey, that's really something you're gonna have to play with and ask a lot of questions around to see. And that reminds me that you actually sent a question in via email, thank you so much, about what is extrapolation. And it's so funny. I love that word. I love extrapolation. It's like one of the coolest capacities that I think that we have that we don't really acknowledge so much, and that people don't really acknowledge. I don't think I need my mic. Is my sound okay? I think it's good. Okay. So the way that I perceive extrapolation and the way that I've heard Gary and Liam talk about it is the capacity to pull things from different spaces and places and create something that doesn't exist. And when you sent me that question, I started asking, you know, so that I could give you an example of what that is. And the thing that showed up for me was when I created pole dancing for consciousness. So I basically perceived the energy of the two things that I adored and loved more than anything. Pole dancing, fun for me, fun for my body, awakens an energy with me and with my body that I had shut down for a long time, and the tools of access consciousness. So in perceiving those two entities, those two creations in the world, I kind of pulled some pieces of each and every one, and I created something that doesn't actually exist in this reality. And I can say that with total confidence because I have been all over the world, taken pole dancing classes all over the world from all kinds of teachers, and nobody bees and does what I do with pole dancing. So I remember, Sylvia, and you had repeated the question about like what capacities with extrapolation do you have that you're not claiming, owning, acknowledging. So anything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, and receive what those capacities are, will you destroy and create it? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, online, shorts, boys, and beyond. And it was really cool at the Matthew Hussey retreat because Matthew used the word extrapolation twice. And I was like, huh, I meant to ask him what he means by that, but hey, how does it get better? And I wanted to share with you guys too, like, some of you may or may not know or be aware, and I'm just gonna go ahead and be a freak here and acknowledge that we have actually reached 10,000 in consciousness. Like Gary and Dane have been saying for years that when we get to 10,000 in consciousness, that ask and you shall receive will be exponentialized, and we really will have opened the door to creating a new and different reality. And I really, really perceived that dynamically at the Matthew Hussey retreat. There was an energy and a demand for change and for something different at the retreat. Like we went so deep into the change and the demand that people were being. And I wanted to kind of share that with you guys in the sense that if there's any doubt in your mind, any doubt in your universe that what you're being and what you're choosing and what you're creating is not contributing, everything that is can be destroyed and created. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, shorts, boys, because here I was in a non-access event with the 300 non-access people led by, non-access, and it was one of the most transformative events that I have attended, and it went deeper than before. So I know that having gotten to 10,000 in consciousness is rippling and creating throughout the entire world. And so please let your freak flag fly. Please go out into the world and be what you know is possible. I found myself many times during the retreat saying something that is totally my, the reality, my reality, like the way that I be with my body. I was sitting in a chair and, I was like rubbing my belly, and like it was day 5 and I had just kind of been through that change ringer that we sometimes go through, and I was rubbing my belly and I was just sitting there having my smoky, and this girl comes up and she was like, oh, is that like a pregnant belly? Like, did you have too much breakfast? And I was like, you know what? No, this is a high body belly. Hi, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for going through this with me. I was just like, this is a kindness with my body. And she was just like, huh, I never thought of it that way. And I could perceive the shift in her universe. And so, the way that we be with bodies and access is really, really different to the way most of the world bees with bodies. So, however you be with anything in your world, would you be willing to gift that and to share that with the rest of the world? And what change can that create? What opening can that be for you and for the people around you? So I don't know if I can stress that enough. Not stress it. We don't want to stress. Talk and pod that. What gift are you being already that you're not acknowledging? And anything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive that, will you destroy them? Right and wrong, good and bad, talk and pod, all night, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Sylvia says, thank you. Somehow I can't hear that clearing, and the sound went for a sec. LOL, watch the replay. How does it get better? And Cindy says, when something is really uncomfortable, what do you do to make it more ease and joy? Sometimes it's about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. For me, the awareness, the knowing that I will have more of me on the other side of whatever is that discomfort, like, makes me comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's like, all right, I was talking to a client the other day, and she's having this really uncomfortable space, and I'm like, look, we're all kind of see, I'm being a freak, going through this uncomfortable shift and change and growing and expanding, and we just gotta like ride that wave, until there is that opening where everything fucking changes, and then everything that you've ever asked for is possible and more. So I would keep asking, like, I usually ask my body, like, body, what do you require? What can I be for you so that this is more comfortable for both of us? And when I got back from the Matthew Hester retreat, I slept for like 2 days. I was like, all right, I would get up and do the work that I needed to do, and then I'd pass out and take a nap, and then I'd get up again. And so what is it that your body requires? What is it that you require? What is going to work for you so that you can have more ease? And know, like, you will have more of you on the other side. And for me, that's always fucking worth it. Like, I don't care how uncomfortable shit can get. I'm gonna stay present with it. I would really, really also recommend being present with that uncomfortable energy, like I was talking with Natalie. Don't try to push it down or shove it to the side or pretend that it's not there. Whatever that energy is coming up for shifting and for changing. So ask the energy, hey, what is this? What is this? This is really uncomfortable. What is this? Interesting point of view. I have the point of view that it's uncomfortable. Interesting point of view that this has to be difficult. So I think I just gave you like 10 tools in 3 seconds. You have to listen to that again. So how does it get better? Thank you all so much for your questions. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm so, 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 so grateful. I think she says, wow, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yes, yes, that is sometimes, you know, we're so like taught to, the word that's coming is being copacetic, like for everything to just be, you know, and sometimes, and look, I'm a big, big rock the boat kind of person. I will rock the boat no matter how uncomfortable things will be, because sometimes you just kind of have to rock the boat in order to create that change that you've been asking for. And so, yeah, so I think I have a little bit of experience with things being uncomfortable. And I always had me on the other side of that. And I know that you will too. So just ride that wave. Like, what if it wasn't about being ease and joy? What if you could have more fun with being uncomfortable? Do you need to go move your body like a freaking maniac? Like, play some music and move that energy with your body. So there's another 3 tools in 3 seconds. How does it get better? Okay. I adore you guys. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you all next week. If you have any suggestions for topics that you would like for me to cover, I'm happy to receive those. You can email me at patty@pattyalfonso.sexy. If you'd like to play more with me, I have the Creating Magic with Chaos Club. It's monthly. You get a facilitation call. There's also an energetic contribution, which is amazing. Natalie was referring to that earlier. I also have a fantastic class coming up called Being a Phantasm. And this is, you know, everyone's like, a phantasm, what is that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a claim, own, and acknowledge I'm a phantasm. And are you a phantasm? Like, do you have capacities with creation that you're not acknowledging, that you're not stepping into? That, like, do you have the sense that everything that you create could be greater than anything you could have imagined? And if you're not being that energy, then let's, you know, what did I think I said, ignite your creative capacities. Let's destroy and uncreate anything that doesn't allow you to be that. Because now is the time, my friends. We are 10,000 in consciousness. Everything that you ask for can be created. Are you asking for things that will generate your life and create your life, or are you asking for more trauma and drama? Either choice works for me. That's totally cool. But I would love to play with you guys more, so come play with me. Catherine says, thank you, Patty. Awesome call. Very interested in your Phantasm series. What else is possible? Thank you. How does it get better? Sylvia says, thank you. Big hugs. We've got people from the USA, from Australia, from Amsterdam, from Mexico. How does it get better? Thank you all again. I would love to play with you on Being a Phantasm or the Magic Club. So I will see you all next week. Mwah! Have an amazing evening, day, morning, wherever you are in the world. I adore you. How does it get better?
Thank you, Patty. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.